People are probably like, and I'm like, at least I don't take myself too seriously. That's probably what they saw. They were like, eggs out of here. Like, no, I'm good. I'm gonna pass. Yeah, that happens with me because I always turn the microphone off when I get off of here. Just you know, and and sometimes I come back and I'm like, I don't realize I've turned it off and not turned it back on. And I will keep talking. So there were a few people in here earlier that left, which no big deal. I mean, whatevs. But I guess it makes sense now knowing that what they saw was me going. No, the mic is the mic's way better. I had several different ones, and I was like, I'm gonna have to do the bigger podcast ones. And also, again, that is the route that I'm gonna be moving towards, is doing a podcast, which I'm gonna tell you right now. I'm also writing a book. Again, when I told you guys I had my iron on a lot of fires and I needed to iron that out. Yeah. It's true. But in truth, I am writing a book, and it took me a second to figure out how I was going to frame it. Long story. The only downside of podcasting, I'll tell you this right now. It's what I would prefer to do. I would really prefer to do that. The thing with podcasts is a lot of people have this idea that, because we see people who have podcasts and they're very successful. Okay, and usually they're turds. Not always, but some of them. And I know I have a few friends that do podcasts, and I am going to say this straight up. It is a lot of work for very little pay. And I am not someone that's in anything for the money. Trust me. But what I will say is that it is very much a passion project. And what's sad about that is each one of these podcasters that I know that are doing a lot of, it's very complicated, that are doing, really great content and whatnot, that maybe aren't making what they should or getting the exposure that they should. They usually have a subscription or a place you can donate and whatever. And they will have a lot of listeners, but they have very few people who actually, contribute. And I'm not one that's like, oh, everything. What's really sad is we will pay corporations whatever for whatever piddly junk that they want. But when it comes to us, if somebody's not demanding or whatever, we're just like, I'm not going to pay anything. So it is a way out of understanding that it would be a lot of work with not a lot of pay. So we'll see. But I do see myself doing that. I'm good today. You know what's interesting it's just us chickens and talking about this. I exited out of here. Okay, so anyway, I grabbed my phone, and my friend had sent me a video, and I was checking it out. And this is silly, but I did find I don't want to say the drama, the fun little interesting back and forth that Rosie O'Donnell is having with the sitting president. Anybody else see that? Now, I'm going to say this. Of course, we could go, oh, there's all this other stuff going on. But I'm like, and I saw the back and forth, and I gotta say, I love it. I love it. Why do I love it? Not because she's being treated that way. No, that's nothing new. But why I love it is that she's so composed, and she's just in his head rent free. So I did watch that. I mean, yeah. In truth, though, she called this out a while ago. I mean, he's been after her for a minute, and then just kind of out and like, oh, I'll just revoke her. The issue isn't that it's her or that whatever. The issue with it, very honestly, is the fact that it's an abuse of power that we've normalized. That's what I'll say. The abuse of power can be that petty. I don't like someone. So I'm going to use, like, this is textbook definition of a petty overuse of power. Now we can see all the other ways that the abuse of power goes on and all that, but again, though, she is pleading like all, because she is in Ireland. She is pleading like all all other people, all of the rest of the world, with Americans to wake up. Well, I don't think it's her. I'm not. Yeah, I mean, I don't. I don't have a beef with her. I. She's just a civilian. You know. I'm not blaming her. I think he's abusing his power. I mean, in a petty way. One of the many, many ways he is. It's just funny him saying he wants to revoke her citizenship. Yeah. Well, the truth of it is that it isn't a matter of who it is or whether we like her or we don't, because that's the part of governance that you know, again, that I keep reminding Americans is in existence or should be, is that you are everyone. You govern everyone, even the ones that don't like you. This is how petty that abuse of power can get. I don't like her. I'm thinking about revoking her citizenship. And I love that the people that support him tend to be really constitutionalists, yet have completely forgotten. And I this week, please read the totality of the 14th Amendment. It's something as simple as imagine Biden saying this, or Obama. Would that shift your opinion if it was Biden or Obama? Because that seems to be the thing. With me, I don't care who it is. They say something, I say something. I don't give a shit. I've started my platform talking about Maui with Biden in office. I don't care. But it seems to be it's okay so long as it's my guy, my person. Okay. Anyway, so I saw that and I was like, oh God, but at least she's actually handling it really gracefully, and it's just really it's embarrassing. Mind you, it's embarrassing. The fact that one thing I want to point out is that we have a president that makes addresses that addresses the nation and addresses aspects of his work through Twitter. This alone, I mean, all of it. That's not even. You guys, we're in deep shit. He runs. I'm gonna say this: what comes out of that running mouth without thought is very starkly different, Rafa. We may not agree on that, but if both run their mouth without thinking, then listen to what's being said when they do so. I'm saying if both of them do that, then what's being said? That's what I'm saying. Look, you're not going to... Look, one thing about Rosie O'Donnell, I'm not going to stay on it very long, is a lot of people don't know that she is, and I shared this a long time ago, long before she was on the radar, she donates the highest percentage of her income to charity, the highest percentage per capita. Do you guys know that? So out of the totality of her wealth, the highest percentage of any celebrity goes to charities. So I don't give a fuck what she says, if I'm being frank. One has a gold toilet and one gives their money to charity. I don't give a shit what one says. That's where I'll stand. And double check what I've just shared with you. Highest percentage of their wealth per capita. So this goes back to what they say and how they behave. Yeah, I believe that. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's not going to be a secret who I'm going to side with. Almost any civilian. There's a lot of people that speak abruptly. There's a lot of people that, you know, but I do know that she was a out woman. And, well, we just don't treat women who bat for my team very well, ever. So I'm not going to demonize her. Not at all. Not someone that gives the highest percentage of their wealth to charity. Nope. When he does that, we'll make comparisons. I'll say that. When he does it, but he won't. He won't. I'm parole. I don't know what you're talking about. Talking about me? Mm-hmm. I agree. Quite coarse. I don't disagree, but our scale on what it okay, what would a woman have to say to be seen or dubbed coarse versus a man. This is important. What is the metric for a woman to be coarse by way of comparison to a man before we say the man is coarse? Do we use that word for men? What do we say when a man behaves what we would consider a woman who's being coarse? What do we call that? Aggressive. Okay. There we go. Gruff. All right. Can we name me a few? See, and I that was a trick question. I'm going to let you know. It's very difficult. It's very difficult because we typically don't use these words for men. Men can get up and say a lot of things. Abrupt. They can be inflammatory. They can be derogatory. They can be very pointed. Whatever. A woman speaks out of turn, raises her voice, or is direct. Then we get all the words, you know. I don't think she's coarse at all. And I'll say this straight up. I don't know. I mean, I'm maybe to somebody's gauge. I don't know how you're rolling with me. You probably haven't seen me. You might think I'm very coarse-grained. But you see, I get away with it a little bit more because I'm masculine. I am more masculine than the average woman. But what are the words that we use for men who are this way? Yeah. They're, you know, but for a man to be dubbed aggressive in vocabulary and cadence and presentation, I want you guys to think about the things that we've witnessed without witnessing a guy get called aggressive. I have quite literally seen. Do you guys remember when those two congressmen were about to have a fist fight? A fist fight on the floor, an actual fist fight. Well, shit, I could beat you. Oh, you should. What you did? And nobody called them aggressive. That's the definition of aggressive. No, I agree. I agree with you. But I'm just saying that we seem to be very put off when a woman is direct. When a man is direct in his conviction, it's just that. It's conviction. Yeah, it's ridiculous. But that's kind of highlighting my point a little bit that we have two guys that straight up tried to almost fist fought. And I can't even remember their names because it wasn't that big of a deal. If those were two women, we would still be hearing about it. So I am going to point out, and I don't think you're doing it, but I just mean as a whole, the tightrope that women walk to be assertive and to have the conviction to speak their mind bluntly without those words. He's called her a pig, a dog. I mean, I'm not one for picking on somebody's personal appearance. I just don't think I think it's a cheap shot. But if you're going to, that's the hill you're going to go on, I'd grab a mirror and make sure. Exactly. He called her fat. It's very nasty. And that's always the cheap shot when you go after women, is going after their weight. And he gets called fat, racist, and okay. It's not as one-sided as I make it sound. Thank you for telling me how I'm making it sound. Has he done things that would lead people to call him those words? I would choose your words carefully. See, it's one thing to just be cruel to somebody's appearance. He gets called the fat thing, whatever. That's because he was calling women fat, and he was in no place to. But the other two was because he's done things that have indicated that he believes that way. So it's not a cheap shot at his appearance for the cheap shot of his appearance. I have personally witnessed things that are inappropriate. Inappropriate. The way that he has spoken about his daughter, inappropriate. his conviction that he that he has had. I know a little bit more about some stuff that he's done. Inappropriate. He was sued for being racist. He was sued and lost. I mean, the court of law decided that he was racist. I mean, for Christ's sake. What does somebody have to do to be dubbed a racist outside of behaving racist? If a court of law decides you're racist, and a court of law decides that you're civilly liable of essaying a woman, what more do you need? I mean, I'm being honest. Like, yeah. The point that I'm making is that we're trying to make the comparison of one that is just strictly, I don't like what you're saying, so I'm gonna insult the way that you look. And the other two have merit. They do act, funny enough, that's the word. They do actually have some evidence behind them. What is my definition of racism? I mean, I think I have everybody else's definition of racism. If he is intentionally not renting his properties to people of color for no other reason than that they're a person of color, that's racism. Right? So, I mean, that's what he was sued for, because he was doing it on... This is the guy who, after the, the Harlem Five were acquitted because they didn't commit the crime, he paid private money to run an ad continuously accusing these young men, boys actually, of something that they did not do, that they were found not guilty. They were acquitted because they didn't do it. And no way, but he refused to let it go. Refused. And they happened to be African American teens. So this isn't a guy who's been subtle about his racism. He's not been subtle. I mean, I'm being very honest. He's not. And yeah. So it's not like this outlandish out of nowhere, like, you know, if it quacks like a duck and it looks like a duck, it might be a duck, you know. Yeah, that's right. If it practices witchcraft and rides on a bike, it might be the LBW. Wait, LWB. LBW. No, I had it right. Do you think there are... I don't know what you mean. There is racism with... racism requires a power dynamic. So that's one thing that European people have a really hard time understanding. Racism requires a power dynamic. You can suffer from what would be considered racial prejudice or bias, but it doesn't have a power dynamic outside of somebody being mean to you or saying something. Power dynamics play into racism, so no, they can't. Do I think that homophobia exists? Yes, I do. I 100% do. So, I mean, these things do exist. Two things can exist at once. I see this behavior. I'm going to say this. You'll never catch me saying that both sides aren't corrupt. But the way that they are corrupt and the mechanics around their behavior is completely different. No. Yeah. It's not the same behavior. Not at all. No, I absolutely know. Yeah. So you can be, I'm not quite sure what you're asking, but I do know people that are in my community that are racist, yes. Or I've met some, yes. So just because you're in a marginalized demographic doesn't mean that you won't find a way to use whatever little bit of privilege you have to put your boot on someone's neck. I have seen that. It doesn't mean it's okay. It doesn't mean it's okay. But, I mean, in truth, I'm going to call this out. Like, it's this idea that that because everyone's suffering a little bit, Okay, that nobody can suffer more than the demographic of privilege. They win the suffering medal because it's hard on them now. That's what bothers me. Who gave the privilege? You're born into the privilege. There was no giving, it was taken. Like, I would genuinely have this conversation with you if I thought it might sink in. And I mean it. Like, this concept of denying privilege as a YT person or a person of less melanation is infuriating. It's kind of it. Americans, you've got to fucking do better. All right. And I am not one to tell people go Google but I'm like, some of this stuff is very easy to access. Very, very easy. And if you are unsure, look around. I sound entitled. Okay. You are right. No, I sound irritated. I hope that's what you'd actually pick up. Entitled, and like, in truth, I'm irritated that we are doing this weaponized comprehension, which is explain this, and tell me how it's like this, and tell me I've not seen this myself, so tell me how it's like that. Have you spoken? Do you have any diversity within your friend group or your family? Have you listened to the stories and plights of people different than you? It won't sink in because it's weaponized comprehension, which is literally going, I'm going to knuckle down and go, explain this because I don't. And what you're doing is you're like, we know this, well, how's this? Well, how is that? How does this happen? How does that happen? Do you seriously need me to explain it to you? What privilege do you have that I don't? I know you. Hi, you're back. So you're going to get on here right now with what's happening to the Hispanic community in the United States and look at me and tell me you think that our walks are the same? And I want to be clear because I see the name, but I want to know if you really are, because you have a picture of your leader on there and you're following 2 people. So it looks like you're brand new. Or a bot. God damn it. Hold on a minute. Let me just... This is infuriating because I guarantee you this is not a... If it's a real person, I'm sorry. Yeah. To sit there with that name, Latinos for Trump, and tell me... it was a bot, for sure. Who programs these bots? Who pays for them? Who is perpetuating that Latin America supports this? Supports the sitting... like, think about it. Who programs these bots and gives them names like that while everything is going on to insinuate support of the sitting president who is targeting that community? You need bots to look like you have support because your polls are the lowest in American history. I have no problem saying it. The lowest recorded in American history right now. It's lower than Nixon. How about that? That's rough. That's rough. Nixon at the end of his term had a very low. You're low. And I'll say this because your base is turning on you. Now, it may have had to hit their backyard. Fine. It did. I get it. But you have to have bots. You have to have bots. And this is the thing where I'm like, this is what it looks like. That was like the fact that there is quite literally a bot that comes in here to tell me what the YT privilege doesn't exist and their name is Latinos for Trump with what's happening in the United States. And we dare to imagine that the people who create these bots with names like that are not racist. I'm aware. That's why I knew it was. There is not a single Latino, I believe, who would look at me and say, oh, yeah, totally. Totally not a big deal at all. I'm sorry. They don't even care if you were born here. We've seen that. And if you want to waltz yourself like lambs to the slaughter, that's not a real person. But if you want to do that, go knock yourself out. I'm not going to stop you. But that is what I mean. Right there it is. That person who's not a real person was programmed and paid for by somebody to sell a narrative that there is support where it isn't. Now, I can't sit here and say every single one, but I promise you, if there is a number, it's dwindled and it's dwindling. So yeah, I get irritated with that. My point about this is that I won't disagree that there were, look, here's the thing. This is where it gets tough. Misogyny is a brand that everybody can get on, right? Misogyny is a flavor that all colors can enjoy. Now we're seeing this in every single community, all right? Now I won't speak on the ones I'm not a part of. So there were people who voted for somebody, and they can say all the other things, but essentially it was misogyny. They didn't want a woman. That's why we saw the numbers the way that we saw them. So admit it. I've told people, I said, if you are voting for him and the words out of your mouth are not, I am a misogynist or I'm a racist or I am both, then you're lying. Because you guys, I mean this lovingly, he didn't even have plans. I checked. I told you guys, I checked their policies. He didn't have policies. He had blame. He had blame and promises. He did not have policies. How do you run and get elected and not have policies to discuss? Post it on your website. I've never seen anything like this. Post it on your website like everybody. This is what I'm going to do. This is how I plan to make this happen. What he had was, you know who really did a bad job? That guy. And you know he's really going to do a worse job? That one. And people are like, yeah. He didn't post a single plan of action. He listened to the American people. Oh, you're going to get me there. He listened to the American people. I'm going to ask you real quick, Carrie, and you don't have to give me the dollar amount, and I'm not going to ask it. Do you make over $400,000 a year? Over 400K. You can just say yes or no. No, I'm just asking. I want to make sure that you know where you're at. Do you make over 400K yearly? You can just say yes, no. Okay, so I'm going to guess no. All right. So I'm going to tell you straight up, there is not a single policy that he has introduced that is going to benefit you or anybody that you know who makes under $400,000 a year. I mean this lovingly. Not one policy. And the reason that we could say he listened to who paid him. And I'm sorry, his demographic doesn't have the deepest pockets. He has a very small group that has very deep pockets. So that's who he actually lines up for. I'm lying. Okay. I am not going to convince you. I don't care to. You're on Social Security, poverty level. Carrie, he's trying to take that from you. He didn't listen to American people, and I promise you, if it's not been taken, it will be. You know he wants to privatize it. Make it to only people who have contributed a certain amount of money. Like, I can't meet you where you are if you aren't even looking out for yourself, let alone looking out for others. I mean this for all Americans. Leave it. Do not speak to me because we have nothing in common if you can't even look out for yourself. Let alone look out for your fellow American and fellow civilian. That is what's frustrating. They are understanding. And this is the thing. They're understanding, but it had to hit their... I live in Ohio. I want to make this clear. I live in Ohio, a very gerrymandered state. I'll be very fair. We're not nearly as red as we appear, I promise. But here's the thing. We got very gerrymandered under Kasich, and that's the thing. That's just it. However, we have a lot of people in agriculture. One thing that struggles here substantially against corporations is agriculture, okay? Now, a lot of the farmers here were hurting because of the corporate farming, and they took subsidies from the Inflation Reduction Act, okay? Project 2025 said that would be cut. I know he said he had nothing to do with it. Do we not all remember that? Do we want to guess what percentage of that policy, that mantra, that manifesto has already been either enacted or is in the process of? Let's just say in the process of. right now, how much of that manifesto has already been in the process of being pushed forward? 75%. Now, here's what I'm going to say is you guys said, no, no, no. That's not real. He said he didn't do it because we all know him to be such a truthful man. Great. Now we have people losing their farms. And now they don't like him because I didn't know he was going to take away the money I took that Biden gave you. And I don't like Biden. I'm not a fan. I'm going to put that out there. Not a fan. I'm not a fan of Biden. Okay. I have no problem saying it. Not a fan of him. But if somebody said, hey, he's taken a lot of money. I told you guys, follow the money. Follow the money. Who wrote that manifesto? Did he take money from the Heritage Foundation? Boom, it would have been done. Because the Heritage Foundation is not known for giving money out of the kindness of their heart. I know that they claim to be a Christian organization, but they don't do it without favors. And he took a substantial amount from them. So follow the money. And you might have had your farm. You might have voted for your best interest. You might not have. I don't know. Because to be honest, I can't say what I really think. But, let's just put it there. But what is upsetting is there's all these people who do not care about things and are not looking out for themselves, let alone other people. But now we have people all over the state of Ohio losing their farms, and now they don't like him. Now he's a bad guy. Now he's a liar, and now we all need to come together. We're all Americans. We need to come together. And I've been spreading that message since 2023. All the time. All the time. And do you want to know what I got told? When I said we're all Americans, we need to come together. You want to know? Want to know? Yeah. From your group, I got all of the homophobic things, transphobic, everything you guys could sling possibly. And now you're going, but we're all Americans, guys, and we should look out for one another. He wasn't discreet with his plans. You guys act like he was so covert and stealth. He wasn't. He's klutzy, and he's a slip of the tongue all the time. The dude cannot control himself. How he pulled it over on so many of you guys is mind-blowing. He's not clever. How? I mean this. He was on his campaign literally telling people to go out and vote, and this would be the last time they'd have to do it. What does that mean? No one cares? He's not a politician. A lot of people aren't politicians, and they're not suited to be a president. They say, he speaks his mind. There's tons of people that speak their mind. You can go out into any street and watch someone yelling out absurdities, speaking their mind. Are they suited? Are they suited? He's worse than not a politician. He's a billionaire. Or, to be honest with you, he's an in-debt billionaire. Okay? It was a lot of money. He's nowhere near the bees. That's the truth of it. He was a bad businessman. He was a born blue blood. He has nothing in common with the working class. And the fact that the working class of America thinks at all that a blue blood millionaire at least would have their best interest at heart, and especially people in working the Iron Belt. What has happened consistently to the people in the Iron Belt from people of wealth? They have manipulated, shut down, ripped you off consistently, and you think this guy is going to be different. And I'm not sitting here going, and you know what? Biden was so great. I did not shut up about Biden. I didn't shut up about Biden. I didn't shut up about him. It's not about Biden. I don't want to talk about Biden or Clinton or Obama. I don't care. We are past the 100-day mark. Do you know why the 100-day mark is so important? I'm going to explain it to you if you don't. After 100 days, okay, I'm going to zero in here. 100 days from inauguration. Why is that marker so important? Does anybody know? Does anybody know why the 100-day mark, why that is a metric in every president? Yes, fiscal quarters. There we go. Because at 100 days, when a president comes in, whatever the climate is or wherever the trajectory is, which means if you walked in on an unemployment that was at 12%, which is really high, in 100 days, let's say that unemployment, let's say you did a great job and you got it down to 9%, okay? 9% unemployment is still super high. So, but the truth is that it's on it's on an increase of people finding jobs. So you're doing a good job, even though the country's still technically at 9% unemployment. Your trajectory is going positively. Now, so it doesn't matter what you inherit, okay? You can inherit the biggest mess, crap, show that you've ever seen. But at 100 days, every single policy that you've put in will show a trajectory of where the country's going because of those policies. Now, it doesn't have to be at the end goal, but it will show where it's heading. Does anyone want to guess where we were at the 100-day mark? Every single president has been held to the same account. It does not matter what you've inherited. My God. Did you hear what I just said? It doesn't matter what you've inherited because they don't gauge it by what the numbers are. They gauge it on where it's going. I just broke down how if you inherited unemployment of, okay, so that doesn't matter. Now I'm going to be clear. Compare it to Obama's. Now I'm not being whatever, just mean it. Compare it to Obama's. Compare it to even Biden. Compare it to Trump the first time. Do it all the way. Either one of them, any one of them. And see where the country was 100 days. Not where it was, but where it was going on the trajectory. Was it improving or was it declining? That's how you know. So it doesn't matter if we're just looking to where your policies and how they're impacting. Are they helping or are they hurting? That's it. It does not matter how much or how little. It is if they're helping or if they're not. Because I'm sorry, I have seen presidents, I'm sorry, get handed far worse situations. All right? I want to be clear. And I'm not going to lie to you. I wasn't a fan of Biden. Okay? I have no problem saying that. And I'm not going to say, I don't care to talk about Biden because he's not in office. We didn't shut up about Biden. Like, this is the problem, is you can't lead, you can't drive a country forward when you can't get your eyes off of the rearview mirror. Do you understand? You cannot drive a country forward if you cannot take your eyes off the rearview mirror. Meaning, every time something's wrong, I'm going to blame what happened before. I'm going to blame that person. He won a presidency with blame. And you guys can call it whatever you want. He ran and won a presidency with blame, with no policies. He did not have a policy. He did not have policies. That is, as far as I know, never happened. Has there been, can anyone name me a single president who was won an election without showing a single policy, a plan? Not one. I mean, it's absurd. They post them. I mean, they post them to say, this is how we're going to handle this. And he talked about the border nonstop and how bad it was done and just said, and I'm going to make it way better. He didn't say how. He didn't say how. And you guys are like, he's going to make it better. Yeah. Does he know how to? No, he doesn't. He doesn't. No, it's very clear. Does not. He's just taking innocent people. He's kidnapping innocent people. I agree, Dragonfly. He promised to close the border and he did it. Why are we so hyper-focused on the border? Like, I want to be clear. Why is that always the conversation? Why is that? Security, okay. Security, okay. Do we all feel very secure right now? Does everyone feel nice and secure, comfy and cozy and safe? Feel good? At this times, our enemies are, you know what? Okay, I'm going to share this with you. This is not even a new. At this times, our enemies are, you know what? Okay, I'm going to share this with you. This is not even a new record. Right after September 11th, 2001, guess who was coming up the border? The Al-Qaeda. And they were taking over our country. And we all remember when the Al-Qaeda came up and took over the United States, right? Everyone was terrified about it. We went on to go to invade another country because we were also scared of the Al Qaeda coming up through our border. And we all remember when that happened. It is a talking point and a fear tactic to get everyone afraid. And I will not sit here and say the border is in good shape. Okay, it hasn't been good in shape for a while because we have terrible immigration policies. It is not expedited. It is not streamlined. It's messy. It's inhumane. It's shitty. It's terrible. I won't lie. It's shitty. I won't lie. We don't have good pathways to citizenships, working visas, and legal immigration. And we need that. I do believe in legal immigration, but we don't have decent pathways to it at all. But people can't stop hyper-focusing and being afraid of the border. Again, now I want to point this out. I already know that we're talking about the southern border. Do you know that we border 2 countries? Do we all know collectively that we border 2 countries? We share a border with 2 of them. Right? Are we all on the same page? Okay, so we're sandwiched in between 2 countries. Why don't we ever talk about the northern border? Why don't we talk about that one? Why don't we talk about the northern border? Do we not think that things come over from the northern border? We've not. No, we've not. When we say the border, does anybody ever wonder if we're talking about the Canadian border, the northern border? Ever? Do you ever go, wait, which one? Which border? Ever? You guys are nailing it. You're exactly right. Yeah, we always know we're talking about the southern one, right? And then we have this illusion that nothing ever comes over the northern border, and it absolutely does. Ask any of the very spread thin border patrol up north. So if you're hyper-focused on the south, any smart kingpin criminal is going to go right up the north. They're not looking there. And no, you're not. You're hyper-focused on the south. And I guarantee, look, how many of y'all live near a border? The southern one, to be clear. How many of y'all live near the southern border? How many of y'all? I mean, clearly you must be very, very close. Okay, I did too. Are you terrified, Terry? Are you terrified, Terry? It tends to be people who live in Missouri. Those of us that have lived near, I lived in Texas. I lived in Texas, all right? Been to the border a lot of times. I have no fear of undocumented immigrants, none whatsoever. And I was surrounded with them. Surrounded. But it tends to be the people up north that are nowhere near it going, oh God, somebody help me. That southern border. Oh my God, you guys, somebody gotta help me. I did not live on the border, but I was at the border a lot, which would be the El Paso Juarez and the Brownsville. I lived in Central Texas, though. Just to be clear, 3 hours away from the border. Even clearer, no shortage of undocumented immigrants. No shortage of people. So, here's what I'm going to say. Those that actually live and are surrounded with people who are undocumented tend to not be afraid. Those that are nowhere near a border tend to be petrified. Does that signal anything? Do you see? I've pled with people to educate themselves by way of going and existing, and because you can't condition and control an educated mind. When we sit and we allow someone to tell us what to be afraid of without doing our own due diligence, then we will let them make us terrified of everyone and everything, and it's working. I'm not afraid. Exactly. I've been around undocumented work. I've lived around them. I've hired them, and when I tell you, they are from personal experience. Mostly, I have not encountered a negative one, to be honest with you. Hardworking people. Hardworking people that just want a better life. And that is the worst thing ever. I'm telling people to get out of their fear because it's making them bigots. I'm not afraid because I'm not afraid of any outcome. I am very aware of my privilege. Just to be very clear, user 800 numbers, I talk about YT privilege, less melanated privilege. If you stuck around, I talk about it constantly. I advocate for people constantly. So if you think if you think for 1 second that I'm saying don't be afraid, I'm saying when you move without fear, you move correctly. You stand up for injustice. When you're afraid, you rattle and scream at your TV and become a racist bigot. That's what I'm saying. No, I wouldn't say that being YT has nothing to do with it. I wouldn't say that it has nothing to do with it. I am targeted in other ways for clear reasons I don't need to explain, but being YT does play in. YT people aren't being picked up in unmarked vans with masked men. Let's be honest. YT men are not okay. Like I asked YT men, if we don't believe that there's an issue, how many times have you been pulled over for speeding and wondered if you'd walk away alive? Have you ever been pulled over for speeding and wondered if you would walk away alive? You don't have to agree with me, Peter. I don't need you to agree. Yeah. So if you've not ever wondered, am I going to walk away? Then I'm going to tell you right now, you have privilege. I am guilty of this too. Not guilty, but I've never wondered if I was going to walk away. I have been in the car with somebody who did. I've seen it. I've seen it in videos. I've listened to the community and I've seen the statistics. 3 times more likely African American men. And don't even get me started on what we do to African American women. I'm not going to play in too much because I know that's a whole thing. Minorities already are at a disadvantage, and you add in the misogyny that, again, everybody can get on board with, then it makes it even worse. Indigenous women, 10 times more likely to go missing than a YT woman. 10. 10. Look these statistics up. Ten times. The MMIW. Look it up. Look at how much more like. So it does play in. This is the best you have. Woke. You caught me on a day there, Fox. Oh. No, honey. No, honey. See, here's the thing. You're from West Virginia. You're from West Virginia, Fox. If you're not aware yet of how little this man has your state's, best interest at heart, to that point, you're a governor. You're about to find out. Was my trail. I love this. Crucify yourself. Look, I'm going to say something. I love where this goes. I'm from Ohio. Okay. I'm from Dayton, Ohio. All right. I'm from a poor area. All right. I grew up in poverty. No doubt. Okay. All the things that you suffer from poverty, every little bit of it. Okay. So on my own at 16 years old. Okay. Here's the deal. I never had it easy. I never had anything handed to me. Okay. Not one thing. I grew up having I grew up with a very hard and difficult experience. Okay. Things that a child shouldn't see and experience, I experienced. Okay. Here's the deal. I can admit that if I were a person of color, it would have been harder. See how easy? Because white tea privilege isn't saying that you didn't have it hard. It's saying that the color of your skin was not a contributing factor. Simple, right? It's saying things like, on top of everything that you suffer from poverty, you also don't have to get pulled over by a cop and wonder if you'll walk away. That's what that means. Is that on top of everything that I suffer from and I'm experiencing from poverty, I don't have the added stress of if I get pulled over by a police officer, I may not walk away. Or, even better, I want to leave it. I want to leave the poverty. I want to build something for myself. You don't have to worry about what your name might appear like or going to interviews for jobs that you won't get. There is a study to show this. OSU, Ohio State University, did a study and found that most companies were more likely to hire a white tea person with a criminal record than a person of color, in particular a black man with a college degree. You should look that up. So don't go to woundedness, because the poverty conversation between people of my complexion is not going to work with me, because I'm one too. I'm one that had nothing handed to me. I'm the one that did whatever I could to get out of it and did it and still understands. Then you're all the same. I don't even know what the hell you mean by that. You stay in woundedness, buddy. I'm not going to help you with that. I chose not to, though. I'll just let you know. You're saying you love everyone, but you're denying the plight of other people. That's not loving. That's very simple. You're calling me satire, but yet you are in West Virginia advocating for a billionaire that is about to take your state on a doozy of a ride with the help of your governor. And I don't think you guys actually deserve it. I don't think you deserve it. How about that? I advocate more for you guys than you do yourself, and I get the shit for it. I speak on behalf of your guys' best interest more than you do. But if you want to waltz yourself, it's like lambs to the slaughter and knock yourself out. I'm not going to stop you. Do it. Not at all. West Virginia will know in the next year. Plus what you was. No, I know. West Virginia. Look, I wholeheartedly agree with everything in me. I know what's going on in West Virginia. The fact that anyone in West Virginia, and I like West Virginians, you know, I know they get a bad rep. I like them, okay? A lot of them. Some of them have really good heads. They're true rednecks. I talk about. You want to find the true rednecks? The true rednecks are the ones that, a lot of them, maybe not you, I know. But a lot of the true rednecks went to West Virginia because they didn't like the laws, the oppressive laws here, okay? They didn't like the racism. There's a whole race of people that comes out of West Virginia that is a bevy of different races of people who escape to live in the mountains and self-govern. The true rednecks didn't have the privilege to be racist, because you know why? They were all farmers, poor farmers. And if you decided to be on your high horse and racist, then, you know, Bob, the black farmer who has the wheat, you're not getting wheat. You want to be racist. That's a privilege to decide, I'm not going to have any wheat. I'm not going to get any because I don't like him. So that's a privilege, you see, to be able to decide I'm going to go without breads and whatever because I'm just stuck in my conviction. When you are poor enough, you understand that we're all people and we're all down here together. And a lot of people from West Virginia get that, and some just don't. Clinging to the racist ideologies does not make you closer, and it will not make you wealthier. It will not make your life better. It will make you feel worse. It will set you further apart. And I promise you, they do not have a seat for you at their table, no matter what your color is. Fox, I really don't care what you have to say. I do hope you heal that, though. I don't disagree. Yeah. I call them the true. It's in my bloodline, too. I come from very poor. I actually have an Irish indentured servitude in my line as well. So, in truth, I am that one. I am that one to speak on. I am the one to you know, you want to pull that, you want to crucify yourself in poverty and whatever. Look, I get it. I know it's hard. I won't deny it. I saw it. I saw what I went through, and I saw what other people like me went through. I get it. I know. He's gone. But it doesn't negate that it would have been harder had you also had this on top of it. And that should be okay. You shouldn't have to be like, no, no, no. To be able to remove myself from it, I had to get out of woundedness. I had to get out of poor me, because that's what I was told to do. Pull myself up by my bootstraps, which is exactly what I did, which I will remind you guys where that saying even came from. Do you know where the term pull yourself up by your bootstraps came from? And this is coming from someone whose grandfather was a coal miner. It was when the caves collapsed, and that's how they would pull people out. That's what we say to each other. To pull your skin, they would have to literally pull out by the bootstraps. So, this is what we say to one another to get each other to buck up and take accountability. And we don't even know that it stems from one of the most heinous and brutal and sad ways to earn a living and make somebody rich that could and did cost a lot of lives. Sound familiar? It's infuriating to see people advocating for their own demise. I thought you were told that black people were not humans. I don't know what you're talking about. I know. Y'all are so obsessed with me. Stop it. And here's the thing. Look, people can disagree with me on certain things. I'm totally fine with people having different opinions about certain things. But what I will say is that there are universal truths. There are some facts. There are some things that are just not debatable. Okay. Now, I don't like onions. How about that? I don't like them. Right? You do. All right. Now that's weird. I don't understand it. But that's a disagreement that we can have. That's a difference. Somebody's life, somebody's plight. We're not going to argue over that. That's not a difference. By the way, this isn't political differences. This isn't political different ideologies. If you haven't caught up, this isn't about Democrat, Republican. We are in the red. So staying on that hill is exactly where you'll stay. And the water's catching up. This is not a Democrat, Republican issue, and it has not been for a very long time. I have receipts. Check my profile. Check how long I've been delivering the same message. Telling you guys it's not about political parties. Telling you guys, reminding everyone, it's going to come for everyone. Get out of your political ideologies. The fact that we have taken political ideologies and assigned the totality of ourselves to them, this is where it goes. Thank you, Pete Pony. This is where it goes when you take the totality of a political ideology and label yourself with it. You brand yourself, because that's what it is, a brand. What's a brand? A brand is a market that you create for a target demographic, okay? It's an ideology. So you brand yourself with it. Take the branding iron off. Take the branding iron off and look around. That is why I identify as unbranded, because that's what it is. It's a branding, and people swallow it whole. The downside is that I do see a lot of people coming back. I do see a lot of people realizing what a bad idea this was when they voted. But it had to go in their backyard. And I said, in 2023, by the time it's in your backyard, long before he was in the picture, by the time it's in your backyard, it's too late. You have to care about other people. You have to look at what's happening to other people. And you have to rise on the account as if it were happening to you. And no one did it until it took their farms, took their Social Security, took their disability, took their Medicaid. And now they're mad. And now they want us all to come together. And I want to. But I know what happens. I know what happens. I don't brand anybody. Look, Carly, I'm going to say this straight up. I'm not going to assume who you are. You will show me, but I will believe it. I will believe it. Very simple. You will show me who you are. I make no assumption And by to that point, I have followers from all over the place on the political spectrum, every demographic, race, color, creed, everything. I won't assume anything about you. You'll show me. And I will believe you. And that's the thing, is it does matter. But we're seeing right now that some people, it's still not quite that bad. The alarm has gone off. It went off a long time ago. To the strongest, and they trained you to seek a savior. This is why we have so many people sitting on their hands. Well, you know what? Jesus is coming back. The extraterrestrials are going to come back. Someone's going to come and help us. The country that talks about pulling themselves up by the bootstraps, which is, again, a heinous saying, is sitting here going, someone's going to save us. What if they don't? What if they don't? What if we have to save ourselves? No, I don't disagree. I've been saying this. This has been something I've said over and over and over. No one's coming to save us. We must save ourselves. Meaning, this isn't just about saving me and mine. Okay? It doesn't work like that. Saving ourselves means saving our democracy, the bit that we have left. Saving our country before it is robbed from underneath us. Resetting this so it can never, ever happen again. I don't disagree. But it takes people understanding how it got here. And instead of looking around and wondering and going, I don't get it. I don't get it. It's been in everyone's face for years. How? It's been screaming in your face, and you have chose to believe the teleprompter going, it's actually okay. Ignore that. Ignore that man behind the curtain. Wizard of Oz. And now we're going, oh, no, there's a man behind the curtain. Yeah, we've been telling you guys. Like, trust me. And this isn't a matter of we, as in I'm a Democrat. Just so you know, I'm not. I'm objective. This is important. Every single American needs to be objective. Take the political branding off and change it to O or U, unbranded or objective. Which basically means you look at every candidate objectively. You read their policy objectively. You don't have little hopes and dreams that this is the one because you really like them. No. If it doesn't look right and they're not behaving right, you pivot. You pivot. You go, I don't agree with this. Very simple. Because what happens when you have this totality of the political branding is when they start to speak, you start thinking you're going to agree with them. And then no matter what they say, you're going, yeah. And before you know it, you have lost all conscience. You are completely brainwashed. Because you're assuming, because you identify this way, and this person says they do, that everything they say is going to be agreeable. It's going to make sense. And then you start agreeing. Before you know it, you're agreeing to dehumanizing yourself. Advocating against yourself, let alone other people. That's what brainwashing does. But when you really want, when you assume that you're going to agree with someone, you start nodding before they've said anything. And then you find ways to make what they've said believable or more palatable. And then we have people going back and forth about it. This is not something to go back and forth about. Innocent people are being harmed. Innocent people are being harmed. And you're going, well, yeah. It's quite literally, it's painful to watch because it's so easy for them at this point. It's so easy. They're not even hiding it. Do you know why? They've tested. They've seen our reaction. They've tested a little bit. And now they're like, we don't even have to hide. Like, why even hide? They're not going to do anything. And we're going, yeah. Well, that border, though. I mean, that border. Yeah, the border's shut. Border's shut, and you're locked in with us heathens. See, see, you're already doing this. It's so painful to watch my lefty friends just nod and follow along with no critical thought. That is verbatim. Verbatim what people are saying about. I'm not even going to say the right, because I think what's happening right now is not Republican. It's not Republican. It's unlike anything we've ever experienced. I'm not going to put that on Republicans. They can take it or they cannot. He's not a Republican. He's nothing like that. So quit turning this into a basic left-right. And by the way, what are the left doing that is destroying our country right now? And what does it mean to destroy our country? To break up families, to terrorize people, to take from programs and safety nets that are very much needed? What does it look like? Oh, they want people they what is it? What are the lefties doing? He's not a Republican. I'm not going to say it. Well, I already had enough critiques of the right wing. Listen, I can say things about the left. Actually, Emily, you're right. Here's what the left is doing, at least in politics. Absolutely fucking nothing. Absolutely nothing. Lip service. They're not stopping it. So I'm going to keep it to the politicians, not the people. Lip service. They're giving very good speeches. Very good fucking speeches. And that's about it. But who's driving? Who's driving the van? Who's driving the van? It's in politics, it's not the left. Although I will say this. They are backseat driving while they're giving great speeches. So my point is that people who don't like him or don't agree or advocate for human rights, I get called left all the time. It just happened a minute ago. Woke, left, Democrat, well, all the things. By most accounts, sure, because I do advocate for all human rights. I do. So call me left. Call me whatever you want. But I won't disagree that the left isn't stopping it. And I don't think that anyone should hold out that they will. I've said this since 2023. This should have really kicked in when Bernie Sanders and Katie Porter voted no on a ceasefire. That should have let you know where we were at. But I will absolutely say both sides. One is more direct in their approach. One is complacent. Now, we could say both are bad. But if one is driving the bulldozer, and the other one is giving articulate speeches along the path, not stopping it, who's the aggressor? The left wanted this. They pushed to vote Stein. I'm not going to say that word. Haven, you're, I don't know where you're getting this, but I think you're way off. The left wanted this. No, the left didn't. And if you're talking about the the demographic that is considered left, no, none of them wanted this. If you're talking about the politicians, I'm not going to split hairs. They're not doing anything. I'll agree with you. I've always said that. The corruption goes deep, but I am saying who's driving the bulldozer. I don't disagree. Am I progressive? I mean, I don't put labels on myself. I mean, that's going to be hard for a lot of people to understand. What I am as a person, let me just put it out like this. Label me however you want. I don't really care. I am a person that believes, that understands and knows way too much about the U.S. government. One thing in particular is that we pay far too much in taxes to have this amount of insecurity. Second thing is that we work too hard. We work too hard. We work too hard to continue to have to work so hard under fear. Blaming another demographic for the things that we all suffer from does not improve it. It is a diversion tactic to get you to stop looking up, where the people who are actually pulling the strings are keeping you all running for the dangling carrot. Our country is ran by billionaires. There's a shocker. There's a shocker. We just swore in some billionaires so that they could have government clearance. We are absolutely up for the highest bidder. We are all for sale. So I'm a person that believes that every single life, whether they advocate for themselves or continue to nod at the screen, is valuable. But if you usher yourselves like lamb to the slaughter, I can't help you, and nor will I try, because there's going to be far too many good people that are going to be left alone in the ditch, and nobody's going to pick up that call. And we've already seen this. Answer me why Mexico was pulling out live bodies out of the river when Texas had their hands tied. I saw a very similar thing happen in Maui too. Riddle me that, since we hate Mexico so much. Why are they saving Americans and Texas doesn't? For free. For free. Because it's the right thing to do. What? I lost you. Okay. When the flood happened in Texas here just recently, it was last week, and it's very tragic and sad. The governor said their hands were tied. They did not have money for resources, so they did nothing. Mexico stepped up on their own accord and saved lives. Their hands were not tied, they did not get paid, and they did not even get thanked. And we're still hateful towards them. Yet they show up and bail us out. They saved lives. They pulled live people out of the river. And we don't like them. And they're the bad guy. So tell me that your government's running beautifully. I don't disagree. I don't disagree. The funny thing is I lived in Texas too. The state that can't shut up about all the undocumented immigration, yet that's where they all show up. The state that has a big surplus and can't shut up about how they have a big surplus in tax dollars, but don't like to admit that they received federal pandemic relief funds and didn't hand them out to Texans. Don't even get me started on how they handled Harvey. I know way too much about Texas, and I suggest everybody in Texas leave it. It is about as crooked as any state could get, and is also about as red as any state could get. But what I do know is they allowed children to be missing and said they couldn't help, yet they go out and play GI Border Patrol for show and photo ops whenever they want people to know that they're patrolling the border. They can get out there on a boat, no problem. But when it comes to actual people's lives, their hands are tied. They're soft, delicate hands. I am aware. So what message are we sending? And who's going to help us? We're out here rooting on them going and get those people, the Mexicans that are helping people, pull them out of the river. You better not come over on our side. Are you kidding me? No, it's okay you save people, but don't you set one foot on our soul. This is why no one's going to help. We're assholes. God, it's good to be back. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Only not really. So this is what I want people to understand. Okay, it's a very quick look around, very, very minimal. Because if you can't roll with the big dogs who will actually know some stuff, your rhetoric, your bullshit, and the lies you were fed is not going to work with me. All right, it's not. I'm not afraid to call you out, and I'm not afraid to say that there is going to be far too many good people who are going to be trapped that will need our help, not the ones that stood on the hill screaming how everyone needed to get away and nothing, everyone's terrible except them and these people. And then when it comes for them, and it will, then we're all in this together. Where were you? Where were you when it was coming for everyone else? Were we all in it together then? It's in everyone's face. You are allowed to deny it. I will not take it from you. But you are advocating against yourself. It's in everyone's face. And no one is going to come save us. No one's going to help us because we've burned a lot of bridges. You know, our little, I'll give you this, Biden's little sighting with somebody, it got the whole world pissed off at us, and rightfully so. They have every right. They have every right. I'd be pissed at us too. We burned a lot of bridges, so no. And then the Americans that people in Europe and other places that would step in see, we're not worth saving. And I mean this so lovingly. They presented us terribly. And some of us are terrible. Some of us are not. Majority of us are not. Overwhelming majority of us are not. But the depiction of the average American right now is not somebody that you'd want to risk and go up against a loose cannon with access to everything the U.S. has to go help. Somebody that will smack your hand if it's the wrong color pulling them out of the river. It will come for everyone. I said this a while ago. Play your hand, play your cards correctly. Staying in woundedness does not help anybody. Yeah, it will. Look, I'll say this. It is affecting everyone. Do you guys know who picks the crops that lands with food on your table or in your grocery store? Who picks the crops? Tell me. And there is a demographic, yes. Who does it? Who does it? Yes. Usually undocumented. And that is a way for especially smaller farmers to stay competitive with corporate farming, which is dominating small farmers, putting them out. I've never met a farmer that had an issue with undocumented immigrants. Never in my life. Because that's who they hire. That's who they hire. Why is ICE? Do we all know where ICE is concentrated at? Because farmers were real mad at somebody for taking their money. And now he's given the little leg up. So the storm, if you will, is staying concentrated to the blue states. So those farmers will have a bigger issue. Do we not notice this? Why aren't they in Texas all over? Why aren't they flooding Texas? They're in California, not Texas. They're in Massachusetts, not Mississippi. They're in New York. And I'll say this. Where they are concentrated, where they are really, really taking as many as they can is blue states, because it will impact the farmers in those states, giving the farmers in the red states a leg up at the cost of these people's lives. It was a game. They said, oh, he's playing chess, not checkers. If you pay attention, he doesn't know how to play chess. He's a bad checker player. Pay attention to it. Come to the country illegally and you won't have a problem. Okay. Do you know the severity of coming here illegally, what the crime is, or overstaying your visa? It is comparable to a low-level misdemeanor, something similar to a traffic ticket, okay? And we know now what they want to do. So if you've gotten a traffic ticket, you've committed a crime similar to that of an undocumented immigrant. Are you deserving of going to Alligator Auschwitz? They should come here legally. They deserve everything they get. Really? Do you know what they're getting? These aren't criminals. He's not taking criminals. He's not taking criminals, guys. And this is my point. Yeah, okay. Okay, Kevdo. No. Good and bad. Okay. Kev? Kev dog. Haven, I'm sorry. I'm going to tell you right now. A little too familiar with World War II. Okay, I know how it happened. I know how it started. By the way, you know the pink triangle, upside down pink triangle that goes all over my community's signs. You ever seen it before? That was the Star of David from my group that was taken first. My community, along with the disabled, were the first to go to test the waters to see how everybody would respond. And guess how the people of Germany responded? The way that Americans are responding. And look what happened. So I'm going to say this right now. There are areas in Germany where people had no idea that it happened. In fact, when the reporters started to report via newspaper, guess what he called it? Lügenpresse. Lügenpresse it means lying press in German. Does that sound familiar? And what he would do to these reporters was he'd have them removed as well. So we can say nobody's going to be gassed, okay, but he wants to set up a live cam so that he can live stream escape attempts for fun. That is Hunger Games. So I am going to make the comparison because the playbook is almost identical. I'm sorry, but it is. And there are people of the Jewish faith who are saying it. Germany is screaming it at us. It is no disrespect to the Jewish people. I'm not going to go down this road because I'm not going to minimize what's happening there, which is what you're doing. By saying that it's harmful to make the comparison is downplaying the severity of what is currently happening. And I won't have it. So yes, I will call it that. Because that's what it is. The Jewish community is screaming about it. Germany is screaming about it. That's what it is. And in fact, it's a lot more blatant and in everyone's face than it was for the people in Germany. It was hidden. You know, do we know where Auschwitz was? Was it in Germany? Is it in Germany? Is it in Germany? Anybody know? It was not in Germany. Thank you, Chrissy. It was in Austria, Poland. Thank you. They were always outside to keep it hidden. Okay? This is still here. Actually, I like that you said this, Joan and Frank. Okay? This is something Americans need to know. Poland, as I said, they were in Poland. They were in Austria. They were in areas outside of Germany. That's why people in Germany didn't know. But I'm actually glad Joan said this. Here's why. Because the Anne Frank story is heartbreaking. The reason we know about it is because she kept a diary, a very detailed diary. A young girl. People in America don't know the difference between an asylum seeker, which is what we're seeing at the border, and somebody coming here illegally. They think that somebody coming in, I said Poland and Austria, sorry. Coming in and waiting at the border for asylum seeking is undocumented immigration. Well, here's what I'm going to ask you to do. Look up the MS St. Louis, all right? MS St. Louis. Google it. Google the legislation that happened because of the MS St. Louis, to which Anne Frank was believed to have been on. It was a ship that showed up in Ellis Island in New York City that was turned away for security reasons. It was full of Jewish people fleeing Germany for safety. And America said, this is not safe, and scooted them along, most of which perished in these camps. Anne Frank was believed to be on that ship. So, a port of entry. Where's the port of entry? And Scott, you're actually not correct about that. I'm going to tell you. When you come here to seek asylum, you must wait outside of the country neighboring us. That part's true, okay? But because we felt so guilty about what happened with the MS St. Louis, we enacted a policy called for asylum seeking. That's why we see people waiting outside of the border in Juarez and not in El Paso, because they're waiting. They're actually taking the proper channels. But nobody understands this because you guys don't understand law or accurate American history, even the dirty and gross and hard to read parts. We get to define anti-Semitism. Haven, I'm not going to go down the road of anti-Semitism right now. I'm not. I'm just not. I'm not. Nothing I'm saying is anti-Semitic, and you're allowed to disagree with me. I don't care. I have no issue with any Semites, none whatsoever. I do have an issue with the Z word. Big one. But we're not talking about that. We are talking about the country where all of this happened that I'm speaking on is pleading with us to refresh our memories. So I hope you do too, because it is identical. And you're saying that I'm teetering on anti-Semitic. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. I'm not going to go down and minimize things so that I don't come off anti-Semitic. If what I'm saying is seems anti-Semitic to you, because I've made a comparison to what's being done, I'm not the only one. The Jewish community is doing the same thing. I know I'm not the only one that has seen the rabbis and Orthodox Hasidic Jewish community speaking up on behalf of the people of Palestine and what's being done in the United States. These are Orthodox Jewish people. Orthodox. Which means they live by the Torah as closely as they possibly can. I'm not going to get scared off by being accused of being anti-Semitic. I know better. I know I'm not. What I'm going to say is that I'm not going to downplay. I'm not going to downplay what's being done to these people. I'm not. And religion has nothing to do with it. The people who actually practice the religion are screaming that it is against the Torah. So we're not going to go down that road. And I'm not going to worry if people think I'm anti-Semitic. I'm not. I just don't. And this is the thing, is a lot of people think that because you sling something like that at somebody like me, like anti-Semitic or racist or whatever, that we're going to go, oh my God, no, we're past that. I'm sorry. We can't tiptoe around this. I know enough to know we can't tiptoe around this. And we can't be, oh God, we don't want to offend and be PC. No, people are being harmed and tortured. I don't disagree. What I was saying is I actually called, I said alligator Auschwitz, and that apparently was offensive. And he's like, how dare you insult you? I'm like, no, the Jewish community's telling us this. Germany's screaming at us. Like, who else's permission? I don't care to be tone policed by somebody here in America going, no, that's not okay. That's not okay. No, they're pleading with us to find the commonalities, to refresh our memory because of the tremendous loss of life that happened. Because people did not think it would go that far. Because people didn't care when they took the disabled and the people in my community. They tested it with us. The pink triangle, that's where we got it. That was our Star of David. We were the first to go, along with disabled, to see how the response would be. And it was lackluster, so then they started rounding up everyone of the Jewish faith. So I do know a lot about it. It is a terrible and sad time in history that a lot of other places in the world understood, took heed, took warning, and changed things. Made sure it never happened again. Germany is quite literally screaming at us because they know. They know. Because they were taught the truth. They're not caring how it comes off. They want us to stop and halt and pivot and look around and act accordingly because they have a stain on their history that will never come off. To that point, I am going to jump off here, but to that point, this is history. We are writing history right now. This time will go down in history, and who you are in this time. This may be the most eventful and important time of your life because it will be written in history books. Who are you? Who are you? If you're complacent, you're excusing, you're downplaying, show yourself so we know who the fuck to get out of the way. This time in history will be written in books, and you will all show yourselves. Show who the fuck you are. We're the toughest, we're the this, we're the that, then act like it. We're the home of the free and land of the brave, whatever the... Act like it. Well, I don't feel very brave, right? Or free. Do you feel free? Land of the free, home of the brave? No. And we never were, because we started out wrong. But let's not go there. We started out colonizing and brutalizing, and then we turned to enslaving people. And now we're going, I can't believe this is happening. How? How can you not believe this is happening? We've always been up for grabs. We've always been corrupt. We've always been horrible to people. And we're shocked? This is the time that we turn it around for everyone. For everyone. And if you're splitting hairs on who it's happening to and the color of their skin or how they believe or whatever, I promise you, you are written down in history as well. And the way you act and what you enable. This is not the time to be in our privilege or be obtuse. The time for that has long since passed. And trust me, that privilege is showing. It's blaring. It is painful to everyone watching. Yeah, liberalism is a mental disorder. Class pack. You know, I'm going to say this. And people can think whatever they want. I don't give a shit. I know by putting myself out here. I know all the risk. I know everything. All right, whatever. I want you guys to know, when you think you're going to puff your chest, this is not as anonymous as you think. And I know that sometimes we give the illusion that because we care about people's lives, that we're not capable. Everybody's tough behind a keyboard, right? Everybody's tough. This will knock on your door the way it's knocked on other people's doors, and you've ignored it and downplayed it. Toucan, try talking like this in any other country and see how far you'd get. Can you name me a country where I would not be okay speaking this way? Name me one. And let's be clear. I'm going to compare it to the U.S., so go ahead and do it. If you say, wait, when are you going to come back? Afghanistan? Okay. Yeah. Russia and Africa. Okay. Do you know? Yeah, Russia. There we go. All right, here we go. Yeah. Well, it's a good thing I'm not under communist Russia, right? I'm in a democratic United States of America, right? Where we have democracy, right? And freedoms, right? You couldn't do it in Russia, right? You guys you walk into this stuff. Like you're naming countries that have oppressive, historically oppressive and struggling civilizations. And you're like, you couldn't do it there. It's obnoxious to say, well, it's worse other places. Okay, well, we'll stand by that. It's worse other places. Also, I want to mention, by the way, in Africa, news. Do you know that Africa is a continent, so there's presidents in different areas, and they actually have told us to, we try to buck up to them. We're going to do this. And they're like, no, keep your money and feed your starving people. Africa said that to us. Okay. So I'm sorry that you were told a bunch of things, and I don't disagree with you. You're right, because that country, one that starts with an R, is incredibly harmful and dangerous, and people flee it because of that. You go live in Russia. You go live there. Yeah. And that's what I mean, is they walk right in. Iran, Afghanistan. I'm like, okay. Aren't these countries that we are in beef with? And by the way, yeah, I'm not a huge fan of how they're treated either. However, we're not there. We're supposed to be here in a country that's free. And we're comparing it to all these oppressive, not like communist countries, severely indoctrinated with religion, oppressive to women And then we're going, you couldn't do it there. What about Japan? What about Australia? What about any place in, Western Europe? What about Canada? What about Mexico even? Safer Mexico. There we go. Sorry. Okay, great. Yeah. Are these countries that we compare ourselves to often outside of how we're allowed to speak? Do we compare ourselves to Saudi Arabia a lot? Do we compare ourselves to Iran? Do we compare ourselves to Russia? Do we compare ourselves to any of the other? Do we even compare ourselves to Africa? And any other context, do we? Everyone does not want to come here, Toucan. And as a veteran, I'm very shocked that you're claiming that after what was just done. I asked for examples because I knew what you were going to do, because there's very few countries that are worse than us. And the ones that are notably worse. Notably worse within the entire global consciousness. The UN has meetings over it. So I knew you were going to name countries like that, and I let you do it. So I'm asking, in what other context do we compare ourselves to those countries? Why don't we compare ourselves to countries that, in essence, an economy that we would like to illusion ourselves would mirror us more, that was colonized by us, by England, like Australia, New Zealand? And Canada. I said even Mexico, but we don't even do that. We don't we don't compare ourselves to anyone. So why were you bringing up other countries? Why were you telling me that I would be in so much trouble if I said this in a different country, if we're not doing comparisons? So we're all on the same page now. We're talking about this country where we have laws that protect us, or we should. We have a constitution that was supposed to protect us. A shitty one at that, but it should, and it doesn't. It's being stomped all over. A country that can't shut up about a constitution that it does not understand and allows it to just be ran over. And goes, well, at least you're not in Iran. I know you did. Skippy, I'm going to tell you. I did it intentionally, and you proved the point, so thank you. Thank you. You listed countries that are notably oppressive, that everyone knows. And in particular, Africa, there are areas where it's bad, and there are areas where it is very much not. Do your history. Do your reading up on history. Do you know that there are areas in Africa that are like the wealthiest in the world? Now, they have income inequality like we do, but this idea that they are just always in the civil unrest. By the way, the civil unrest that they typically suffer from is because of us and our meddling. You should know that. From down to the transatlantic slave trade, which we did keep civil unrest going. Europe did, like it or not. And I told everyone, please watch The Woman King, based on a true story of King Gizo. Very true. Very beautiful. We did that. And then we started taking their resources. We started we like to do this thing of the by proxy. Do you guys know that? The by proxy funding, which is where we actually give money to the rebellion. Okay, to cause unrest so that we can go in and we can mine and take people over and enslave them the way that we see fit, because that's how brutal we are. So the issue is that a lot of these countries have unrest and disruption by the hand of either our funding, our brutality, our strong arming. We've made a lot of enemies. So moving on from that, you named countries that we never compare ourselves to. So we can't compare ourselves to any other country, because let's be very clear, every other country, you could say whatever you want to critique the government or the situation, and you would be just fine. And this one is debatable. Getting a little bit like Iran, getting a little bit like Russia. That's weird. Kind of morphing into a country different than ours. That somebody's got a biffle with. No, they don't know their own constitution. No, I get that all the time. Trust me. I'm a constitutionalist. I'm like, okay, what's the Fourth Amendment? That's a very important one. 100%, Brad. That's one country that we side with no matter what. That really, If there was a hope that we had a bridge to continue to build or keep between someone, our alliance with this country right here made sure that we sealed the deal. It would not happen. And I'll be very fair. I'm inclined to agree with it. If we were down here behaving like civilized people and humanizing one another and actually unifying and being the type of people that and the type of country that you want to save, that can seem to band together for human life, we might see more of a global uproar. We look like assholes. They're watching us down here fighting over who's worthy of living and who's not. And they're like, what the fuck are they doing? And what's sad is a lot of the informed and kind Americans are fleeing. So it is up to us. But there's going to be people who are going to be 100%, Chrissy. I always talk search and seizure. It's a very important one. But people don't know it. Constitutionalists don't know it because they hyper-focus on number 2, which is the one that doesn't get ever messed with. Because it was really intentional to, I don't know, get us to do the bidding by antagonizing the bigotry and phobias and isms and make sure that we were all aggravated, irritated, pissed at each other, and armed. And look at us. Look at how we behave. So if anybody needed a call to action, a wake-up call, when I told you guys that there is another chance to band together and stop this, take it. Get out of your privilege and take it. This is your stark reminder. This is also me saying the clock is ticking. Whether you want to admit it or not. The clock's out. Get out of your privilege. Get out of your woundedness. Get out of your fear. Or don't. Yes, Chrissy, that was. There was, look, I said this right away. People said, who are the people who are working for, hi, Lauren. Who are the people working for the, I don't know what to call them, ICES? Who are the one? And I said, well, there was a lot of people pardoned, and there was contingencies on them. And I said, I don't know, these people are just a bunch of boys running around proud. Oh, and they're terrified too because they're getting doxxed. They're leaving. So yes, this is who's doing your bidding. This is who is, and these are wounded people, by the way. Deputized wounded people. They did that a lot. They did that a lot right around the time when they were, I don't know, shortly after the Civil War, during the segregation. They would deputize people so they wouldn't get in trouble when they did things. You see. We also have a sitting president who is having conversation about, quite literally, reintroducing slavery. Owner responsibility. What do you call that? No obligation to pay or treat kindly. Owner responsibility. It's slavery. Call it by any other name, it would still fucking stink. So, the alarm is sounded. Decide what side of history you're on, or if you're just going to be following orders because everyone's watching. And the clock's ticking. With every tick, we are losing valuable time and valuable life. Or get the fuck out of the way. Get out of the way. If you're complacent, you want to poo-poo on people who give a shit, stay out of the way, stay in your feelings, stay hidden. And don't expect help. This mudslinging when you sit on your hands. I hope that doesn't come for you. Because I am fresh out. I'm fresh out of fucks to give for people right now. These aren't opinions, okay? I'm going to say this. These aren't opinions. I got some opinions. I'll tell you that. Everything I've shared is happening or will happen. It's up to you whether you're going to believe the Lugenpresse. Believe the man that says it's all Lugenpresse, because a group of people did too in Germany. Against their better judgment, against their instinct, against what they were witnessing, which was far more hidden than what we're seeing right now. So I don't have time, patience, or desire. If you are just going to sit complacent and be obedient, then do it. Sit down, boy. Stay out of the way. The adults are speaking. Stay out of the way. You don't have to agree. You don't have to rise up. You can stay right there. But get out of the way. Do I think I am? No, I do not think I am, man. So he wanted to institute a type of migrant worker, essentially, program that was called and they would give an owner responsibility or a employer responsibility, and say owner. I think he said employer responsibility, which meant essentially he was trying to do. He's trying to frame it like an indentured servant. He's basically trying to make people who are being taken to these terrible places be forced to work for free. Forced to work for free under the care / ownership of their employer. That's slavery. That's what it is. Please look it up. Please look up that comment. And he said it. Yeah. Do you think feminizing me, Rasputin? Do you think feminizing me is an insult? Do you think making me more girly or calling me like that, I'm going to be insulted because being a girl is so offensive? Because we're so inferior? No, I'm not. Good observation. Good job. You're not feminine. You thought you're a man. They can't stop with I tell you, they can't stop the homophobia. And they think that being a man is so desirable. And I mean this very lovingly. Y'all do not have a good look right now. So I'm good. Because anytime that anytime that I speak and I hold people to account, when I talk bad about, somebody's God in the White House, then they come for me with homophobic or transphobic or feminizing me as an insult, which is, you already are showing that you have nothing intellectual or articulate to add to the conversation. So you're going to personal attacks, which are not aren't attacks at all. I know what I look like. It was intentional. It's worked out for me just fine. But yeah, people do wherever they can just to be an asshole. Because they have nothing valid to offer to the conversation. Or that's usually what happens. So they'll be like, little lady, because being a woman is so inferior. Oh, I know. Here's the thing. Demonizing me, or people who look like me, or love like me, or whatever it is not going to make your life better. It's not going to stop what's happening. Yes. It'll happen all throughout the live, usually. I'm going to take that as a compliment, Chrissy. So I'll say this. I have very thick skin. Okay, trust me. I've been this way for a while. So very thick skin. You know who doesn't, though? Why, you little boys. You don't have thick skin. It's very clear. You're very scared. That's why you're slinging mud from the bleachers. You think it's giving tough, and it isn't. It isn't. Leaders of the world. With some schoolyard insults. It is obnoxious. And I'm not surprised because look at where we're at. Look at what I'm having to talk about. The fact that I'm having to talk about this. The fact that this is our life, the fact that this is really happening, and the fact that people are jumping into a life as the country and the world's on fire going, you think you're a guy? You'd better not. Girly. No, you guys don't have a good look right now. I'm a hard pass on that. I'm happy where I'm at. And yeah, I'm not that feminine, but I'm not unfeminine. Just have some boyish good looks. That's about it. Often people use intelligence. Insults are the ones lacking it. Intelligence insults? Intelligence insults? Yeah, no, I don't know. People who use cheap shots, attacking someone on their appearance. I started this slide by joking about what Rosie O'Donnell was going through. Attacking someone's appearance, the way they love, whatever. These are things that children do, and we usually scold them for. But adults go around here with their whole chest and do it. And it's sad because, well, we're adults now, guys. We got to put our big kid pants on, and our adult boots and behave as such, because actually kids are looking at us probably fucking terrified because we're behaving like imbeciles. So I really would like to see us improve that. I am so glad this shit was not around when I was young, because my God, seeing adults behave like this, I don't know what the hell I would do. I'd lose my mind as a child. Yeah, and they're scared too, and they're wondering what's going on. And we're down here in Peasantville fighting over whatever we can. Just the world's on fire, and we're down here. You did it. Then just go. Then go on. Godspeed. Anyway. Well, good. I'm glad I made somebody laugh. Well, now that we're all fired up, I am going to I'm going to jump off here. No, I'll say this. I'm very glad. The internet was not very big when I was younger. I mean, it was brand new. So I'm glad, because it was already bad enough seeing adults behave the way that I did. We can do it at 5:55. I'll stay on for that. Do something with your fire. Absolutely. Absolutely. You have a good night too, Vivacious. So I'm really happy, because already seeing what I did with adults was already rough, let alone seeing this, because this would be really disheartening. So grow up, everyone. Everyone that thinks that this behavior is okay. Unless you are in junior high, to which you shouldn't be in my life. If you are, it's 18 and up. Unless you're, yeah. Then, and even then, I might give you a little talking to. No, you came in at just fine time. I'm actually winding down because I'm going to jump off. But we were talking about what's going on in this country and in the world, and how it's not a left or right thing, but people can't stop because their entire ideology their entire being is tied to the political ideology they align with. And everything they do and every word they utter has to align with it somehow. And God forbid it ever tail off, or them have an independent or critical thought. And it is time for independent critical thoughts, and quick ones. Oh, kids are way better than adults. I'll say this right now. I said this. If you want to know how we should be behaving, you could quite literally watch kindergartners. Watch them interact with one another and not care about the color of the skin, not care about where you're from, how much money, nothing. They just see a friend to hang out with, share snacks with, get along with. And we're down here finding things, training, or get along with. And we're down here finding things, training ourselves to be hateful. So I think they got it figured out. I think we're the ones that need some fucking help. The privilege, like, I'm not going to lie, the privileged aspect of Americans is infuriating. It shows how privileged and pampered we are. And by that I mean indoctrinated to believe it so. Because we're not. If you really knew, we've never been. Like, we've never been. We give all of the money to the tippy top and wonder why we're all broke and we're mad at somebody. We're mad at poor people while we bail out billionaires. While we take from veterans and Social Security and Medicaid and CHIP. And we're mad at poor people. You imbeciles, stop that. Look at where the money's going. It's clear. You put in a billionaire, they look out for billionaires. Get hip. And quick. Anyway, I'm going to jump off, though. I'm free to go now. Nona says I can leave, so I can go. Just kidding. I know, right? Oh, yeah. I will be back. And we will try to have more conversations, hopefully a little bit more productive. And our, thank you, Chrissy. Our blocking, muting game's on point if it needs to be. So, and just know that this is genuinely because I do love this place so much, and I love the inhabitants of this place so much. I know it may not seem like that. Everything is because I love everyone so much. You do not have to root for me to root for you. But I'm going to root for you, and it may not always feel good. So I say this, and I say this every time I get off, and it's important. Take some time. Breathe it out. Move yourself into action. See yourself in everyone and love yourself tremendously. See yourself in everyone and love yourself tremendously. Okay? Drink water. Get sleep. Take care of yourself. All right? All right. I love you guys so much. All of your stories are valid. All of your lives are worth fighting for.